Okay, so, AI is a pretty hot topic these days, right?
Hmm.
And there's a lot of talk, a lot of debate about its potential impact on, well, pretty much everything.
Yeah, it seems like every other day there's a new headline about AI.
Exactly right.
Mm.
AI taking over our jobs, AI becoming self-aware, the whole Terminator scenario,
Yeah, right, right.
which, makes for good sci-fi, but
It's kind of freaky when you really think about it.
it really is. And it's easy to get caught up in all the doom and gloom.
Absolutely.
But today, we're going to take a different approach, a more optimistic look at the future of AI.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
We're diving into a fascinating book by Dario Amodei called Machines of Loving Grace.
Oh, interesting title.
It is, isn't it? Because, we often hear about the potential dangers of AI,
Right,
but what about the incredible possibilities?
right. The flip side.
Exactly. And Amodei, he's a leading AI researcher,
Okay.
and he really believes that we might be underestimating AI's upside.
Interesting.
Like, seriously underestimating it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what's his take?
So he argues that instead of fearing AI, we should be looking at how it can solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
So using it as a tool for good, essentially.
Exactly. And maybe even faster than we ever thought possible.
Oh, okay. So he's thinking big picture here.
He really is.
Not just like, making our phones a little bit smarter.
No, no, no.
He's talking about tackling the really big issues.
Yes. He actually calls it a compressed 21st century.
A compressed 21st century? What does that even mean?
I know, right? It sounds kind of like time travel or something, honestly.
It does, it does.
But what he means is, imagine decades of progress,
Okay.
the kind that usually takes, well, decades,
Right.
squeezed into a few short years.
Wow.
That's Amodei's vision.
Ambitious.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a future where AI supercharges advancements in, like medicine, economics,
Hmm.
even how we govern ourselves. I mean, you name it.
Okay, so we're not just talking about automating grocery store checkouts here.
No, no, no. We are way beyond that.
Yeah. We're talking about like curing diseases, ending poverty, that kind of thing.
Yes, tackling things like poverty, disease, maybe even figuring out world peace. Who knows?
Okay, now that's a tall order for any technology.
Right. And I'm sure some of our listeners are out there like, okay, how is that even possible?
Okay, how do we get from self-driving cars to like world peace?
Exactly. So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about what Amodei even means by powerful AI.
Okay, yeah, let's define that first.
Because he's not just talking about slightly smarter algorithms.
Okay, right. He's not talking about like a slightly more intuitive Siri or something.
Right, exactly. It's not just about making our phones a bit smarter.
He's envisioning something much more transformative.
Exactly. He envisions AI as this incredible force.
Okay.
Like this really powerful force. A country of geniuses in a data center, as he puts it.
A country of geniuses in a data center. That's a pretty vivid image.
It really is, right?
Like, what does that even look like? Is he talking about millions of robots huddled over laptops?
Not quite robots,
Okay.
but think of it as millions of independent,
Okay.
hyper-intelligent agents all working together
Okay.
in this massive interconnected network.
Mm.
That these AI agents could be designing experiments, writing code,
Okay.
even remotely controlling physical tools,
Wow.
all at speeds we can barely comprehend.
So, like, a global brain working 24/7 to solve our problem.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
That's a pretty powerful image.
It is,
That is
but even with all that brain power, right? Even with this incredible country of geniuses working around the clock,
Hmm.
Amodei does acknowledge that there are real-world limitations.
Oh, okay. So it's not all like rainbows and unicorns then.
Not quite. No, he's a realist about this stuff.
So what does he see as the main roadblocks? I mean, we can't exactly run experiments at the speed of thought, right?
Exactly. He brings up that point, the speed of scientific experiments.
Right.
Like even if AI can analyze data in a fraction of a second, actually running those experiments in the real world, that still takes time.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And then there's the issue of data, right? Like
Yeah.
AI needs high quality data to learn and make good decisions.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. So even with all the intelligence in the world, if the data is flawed or incomplete,
The AI is going to hit a wall.
exactly, it's going to struggle to produce reliable results.
So it's not just about how smart AI gets then.
Right.
It's about how well we can integrate it with the way things actually work in the real world.
Yeah, it's about bridging that gap between the digital and the physical.
Right, because, I mean, we might be able to design a groundbreaking new drug with AI,
Right.
but actually manufacturing and distributing it, getting it into the hands of the people who need it,
Yeah.
that takes time and resources.
It does. It does, a lot of it.
So Amodei is aware of those limitations.
Yeah, he's very aware of those practical limitations. And he actually argues that, understanding those limitations, like really getting a grasp on them, is just as crucial as developing the AI itself.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just about the tech, it's about the bigger picture.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He uses this great analogy. Think of it like having a kitchen
Uh-huh.
full of Michelin star chefs.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going.
Right. So they might have all the talent in the world.
Right. The best of the best.
Exactly. They can whip up anything.
Yeah,
But they still need the right ingredients
of course.
and equipment.
Right, the tools.
Right, to create something truly extraordinary.
It's like you can have the most powerful computer in the world, but it's useless without the right software and someone who knows how to use it.
Exactly. Amodei is saying that we need to approach AI development with that same kind of holistic thinking.
So it's not enough to just build a super intelligent AI.
No.
We need to make sure it has the right tools and resources to actually make a difference in the real world.
Yes. And that's where things get really interesting because Amodei has some pretty bold ideas about how we can make that happen.
Okay, well, let's hear them. Where does he suggest we start?
Okay, so Amodei, he seems particularly optimistic about AI's potential in biology and medicine.
Yeah, he really seems to think those fields are ripe for like a total AI revolution.
He does. He really does. And, I get it. I mean, we've seen incredible advances in medical technology just in the past few decades.
Right, I mean, think about it. CRISPR, gene editing, personalized medicine, it's moving so fast.
It really is. And Amodei seems to think that AI could, like, kick that progress into overdrive.
Okay, I'm listening. So why is he so bullish on AI transforming healthcare specifically?
So he points out that in these fields, biology and medicine, even small discoveries can have these, like, massive ripple effects.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Like, think about the invention of CRISPR, for example.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
It's totally revolutionized gene editing, right?
Right, and it's being used for so many things now.
I know. And it all started with a deeper understanding of, like, bacterial immune systems.
Interesting how a lot of these big breakthroughs come from like unexpected places.
Totally, totally. And it makes you wonder, what other secrets is nature hiding?
Yeah.
And could AI help us unlock them faster?
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this.
So these seemingly small insights,
Right.
they can unlock huge advancements
Yeah.
if we have the tools to build on them.
The tools and the brain power to connect the dots.
Exactly. And Amodei believes AI can be that tool.
Okay, so AI as like the ultimate research assistant.
Yes. But not just an assistant, more like a tireless army of virtual researchers. I mean, he uses that phrase, tireless army.
Okay, I like it. An army of tireless researchers. So what are they doing?
Okay, so imagine this, right? AI designing experiments,
Okay.
analyzing massive data sets, even directing robots in labs,
Wow.
all happening at, like, warp speed.
Okay, so we're talking about speeding up the process of discovery itself.
Exactly. Uncovering breakthroughs that would have taken humans, like, decades, maybe even centuries, to find on our own.
Okay, that's a bold claim, but what does that actually look like in the real world? What kind of future is he painting here?
Okay, so he suggests a future where diseases, like, say, cancer,
Okay.
are not just treatable, but potentially curable.
Now that's a game changer.
Right. A future where, like, debilitating genetic disorders, they're a thing of the past.
Hmm.
He even argues that AI could help us double the human lifespan.
Double. Come on, now you're just messing with me.
I'm serious. Imagine a world where living to 150.
Okay, hold on. 150, that's like longer than some trees.
I know, right? Or even 200 years old, it becomes like the new normal.
Okay, now you're talking about a future where I might actually have time to finish War and Peace.
Right. Maybe you finally get around to learning that instrument you've always wanted to.
Yeah, I've been saying I'll learn the banjo for years.
There you go. But seriously, a world without cancer, doubling lifespans. I mean, this sounds straight out of science fiction.
It does. So how does Amodei back up these like pretty bold claims? Like what's the basis for this optimism?
So he grounds his optimism in, like, a realistic understanding of current scientific progress.
Okay, so he's not just pulling this out of thin air?
No, he's not saying that AI is going to, like, magically solve everything overnight.
Okay.
He's pointing out that we're already on a trajectory, right?
Okay.
to significantly reduce cancer deaths, for example, with the technologies that we already have.
Right. We're making progress. It's just slow.
Exactly. And what he's saying is that AI acts as this like amplifier.
Okay, so it accelerates the progress we're already making.
Exactly. And it has the potential to like turn cancer from this death sentence that it often is today
Right, right.
into a manageable chronic illness.
So it's like AI is hitting the fast forward button on medical progress.
Yes, exactly. And it's not just about adding a few years here and there.
Mm.
It's about fundamentally changing our understanding of disease and aging.
Okay, so it's not just about living longer, it's about living healthier for longer.
Exactly. Exactly
That's
that.
a really important distinction.
It is. And that faster progress that Amodei is talking about, it's not just limited to our physical health either.
Oh, okay, so he sees AI as having a role in mental health as well.
He does,
Yeah.
absolutely. He actually argues that AI could be equally transformative for mental health.
Okay, now that's an area that often gets overlooked in these conversations about AI in the future.
I know, it's true.
We tend to focus on the physical stuff, the tangible things,
Right, robots, self-driving cars, all that.
but our mental well-being, I mean, that's just as important.
Absolutely. And so I'm really glad that Amodei is addressing this because, what good is a longer lifespan if you're miserable the whole time?
Right, exactly. So what does Amadeus see as the role of AI in improving our mental and emotional lives?
So he starts by saying that he believes that a lot of these mental health challenges that we struggle with,
Right, things like depression, anxiety,
yeah, all of that he thinks they stem from like the complexities of the brain.
which, let's be honest, we're still kind of in the dark ages when it comes to understanding how the brain really works.
Right. It's the most complex organ in the known universe.
Exactly. So much mystery still surrounding it.
And it's an area where our understanding is still like really developing.
Yeah, we've made progress, but there's still so much we don't know.
Exactly. But Amodei is hopeful, and he thinks that AI has the potential to like crack the code, so to speak.
Crack the code of the brain. That's tall order.
It is, but if any technology is up to the task, AI seems like a good bet.
I mean, it can process information at incredible speeds, recognize patterns that would take humans years to spot.
Exactly. And so Amadeu's argument is just like AI can help us understand and manipulate the like building blocks of life.
DNA, proteins, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It could also help us decipher the inner workings of our minds.
Oh, okay. I see where he's going with this. So AI could be the key to unlocking the secrets of consciousness.
Potentially. And not just understanding it, but actually being able to like do something with that understanding.
So, what kind of applications are we talking about here?
Okay, so imagine a world
Yeah.
where AI helps develop these highly personalized interventions
Hmm.
for conditions like, depression, anxiety, even like severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia.
So instead of just masking the problem, like a lot of medications do now.
Right, exactly. He's talking about treatments that go beyond just managing the symptoms
Hmm.
to actually addressing the root causes of these conditions.
So we're talking about potentially rewiring the brain to achieve lasting mental well-being.
Yeah, essentially.
Hmm.
And he believes that AI could personalize mental health care in ways that, frankly, we can barely imagine right now.
Okay, so instead of a one-size-fits-all approach to treating these conditions,
Right, which we know doesn't work that well.
we could see treatments tailored to an individual's unique brain chemistry,
Yeah.
their life experiences, their specific needs.
Exactly. It's like having a therapist who understands your brain better than you do.
That's kind of freaky, but also really cool when you think about the possibilities.
It is. It's both exciting and a little bit unsettling, right?
It is. It is. And, it does raise some concerns about privacy.
Of course. Of course.
I mean, if we were talking about AI having this level of access to our brain.
Right, that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, it really is. And Amadei, does he address that at all?
He does. He does. And he actually acknowledges that these advancements come with a responsibility
Okay, good.
to like really address these ethical concerns head on.
Because it's not just about what AI can do, it's
Yeah.
about what it should do.
Exactly. And so he stresses the need to, establish clear ethical guidelines and safeguards as these technologies develop.
Absolutely. We need to be thinking about these things now before it's too late.
Exactly, because the last thing we want is to like solve one set of problems only to create a whole new set of ethical dilemmas.
Right. We don't want to end up trading one crisis for another.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, it's a balancing act.
It is. It is. And it's a conversation that we need to be having now.
Absolutely. But, before we get too deep into the ethics of it all, I do want to shift gears a bit.
Okay, sure.
Because, we've been talking about AI's potential in healthcare, but Amodei's vision for this compressed 21st century, it extends far beyond just medicine.
Right. He talks about transforming the economy, the way we work, even the very fabric of society.
Exactly. And speaking of work, AI taking over our jobs, that's a big concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a common fear for sure.
But Amodei, he doesn't seem to think it's all doom and gloom.
Oh, okay. So he has a more optimistic outlook on the future of work.
Yeah, like he actually suggests that AI could actually lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful relationship with work.
Okay, that's interesting because a lot of folks are pretty apprehensive about that, about the whole robot stealing our jobs thing.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a valid concern, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody wants to be replaced by a machine.
Right.
But Amodei, he kind of flips the script on that whole idea.
Okay, so how does he reframe the conversation?
So he starts by challenging this traditional idea of work as we know it.
Okay, the whole 9 to 5 grind.
Exactly. Like right
Yeah.
now, most of us, we work because we have to, right?
Yeah, bills got to get paid.
Exactly. It's about paying the bills, putting food on the table, keeping a roof over our heads.
Right, the essentials.
Exactly, the
Mm,
essentials. But
yeah.
what
Yeah.
if AI could free us from that constant pressure of, economic survival?
Okay, that's a big what if.
It's
Well,
better.
are we talking about a world without work?
Not necessarily without work,
Okay.
but rather a world where work isn't solely driven by necessity.
Okay, so more about working because you want to, not because you have to.
Exactly. Like Amadeus suggests that AI could create this abundance of resources,
Mm-hmm.
potentially leading to these new economic models
Yeah.
where people are free to pursue their passions, explore their creativity, maybe just spend more time with loved ones. Who knows?
So instead of being tied to this rigid structure of a 9 to 5 job,
Right. Exactly.
we could focus on activities that, actually bring us joy and fulfillment.
Exactly. And even if those activities don't necessarily generate a traditional income.
Right.
Say,
Because in this scenario, maybe that's not the primary goal anymore.
exactly. He actually talks about a future
Yeah.
where people might find purpose in things like, artistic expression, scientific discovery, community building.
So things that make life worth living, essentially.
Exactly. The things that get us up in the morning, the things that bring us joy.
But I mean, that's a pretty radical shift in thinking, right? I mean,
Mhm.
for centuries, we've been taught that, hard work is its own reward. Our value is tied to our productivity.
Oh, absolutely. We've been conditioned to think that way.
Right. Work, work, work. That's the mantra.
Exactly. But Amodei, he seems to be suggesting that AI could free us from that mindset
Free us from the grind.
and allow us to redefine what it means to have a fulfilling life.
That's a big deal. I mean, it would require a fundamental shift in perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I mean, let's be real. It's not like flipping a switch.
Right. This is a major societal transformation.
Exactly. We'd have to rethink everything, like education systems, social safety nets. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Amodei, he doesn't shy away from those massive societal changes that would need to happen to, make this kind of future a reality.
Right. So it's not just about developing the AI itself.
Right.
It's about preparing for its impact on every aspect of our lives.
Exactly. It's a much bigger conversation.
It is. And does he offer any concrete examples of how we might navigate these changes?
He does. So he arguably talks about the concept of a universal basic income, for example.
Okay. Yeah, that's been thrown around a lot lately.
It has, right. So for those unfamiliar, it's the idea that everyone, every citizen,
Right.
receives a guaranteed income,
Okay.
regardless of whether they're, traditionally employed or not.
So it's like a safety net, but for everyone.
Exactly. And Amodei sees this as one potential way
Okay.
to ensure that everyone benefits from the advancements of AI.
Okay, so even if your job is automated out of existence,
Right. Even then, you're still taken care of.
you still have a basic standard of living.
Exactly. And, it's a controversial idea for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are definitely arguments for and against it.
Absolutely. But it speaks to the scale of the changes that Amodei is envisioning, right? We're not just talking about tweaking the system here. We're talking about potentially redesigning it from the ground up.
It's a fundamental shift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, whether you agree with his specific proposals or not,
Right.
I think what makes Amodei's vision so compelling
Hmm.
is that he's not afraid to ask the big questions, even the uncomfortable ones.
Yeah, he's not shying away from the hard stuff.
No, He's not. And he doesn't pretend to have all the answers either.
Right. He's not claiming to have, like, a crystal ball.
No. But what he does offer, I think, is this really valuable framework for thinking about the future.
A future that's very different from what most of us are used to imagining.
Exactly. And it's a future where, AI doesn't just make our lives easier or more efficient,
Mm.
but potentially more meaningful as well.
And that's a really powerful idea to end on.
It is. It is. And, it's something that I think we all need to be thinking about, like, what do we want this future to look like? Because the choices we make today, they're going to shape that future.
They are, and the more informed we are, the better equipped we'll be to make those choices.
Exactly. So that's our deep dive on Dario Amodei's Machines of Loving Grace.
A really thought-provoking book.
It really is. It really is. And, a reminder that the future of AI, it's not predetermined. It's up to us to shape it.
So let's get to work building a future where AI empowers us all to live healthier, more fulfilling, and meaningful lives.
Exactly. And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.